Coming up, a local Joplin motel experiences a fire.
Upon us, I had a little morning rain. Now we sit back and wait for a little sleet and snow for the middle of the week. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also this week highlights eating disorders. We'll have a behind-the-scenes look at how one organization tackles and is helping those with eating disorders.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the Koam Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories, or later in the show we'll be hearing about how Queen Elizabeth is still working despite having a positive COVID-19 diagnosis. But first, let's go over to Michael Hayslip in Skywatch Weather Center.
Majority of Tuesday morning's thunderstorm activity already passed off to the east. We're going to be eyeballing the far northern section because we could pick up here a little freezing rain. That threat should be done by about 8 a.m. But there's all the hard stuff that's now pushed off all the way to the eastern portion of Missouri, then kind of works its way through central Arkansas. Good line of lightning down there from the Red River up through central Arkansas and then the Boot Heel. But like I said, it's pretty much to the east of us. And now our temperatures just continue to drop. Look at that wide variety. Still holding on to high 50s, almost 60 degrees out in Monette and Cassville. Compare that to the 19 that Yates Center is sitting at. Joplin is at 38 right now. Will continue to drop. Give you an idea about what we've got regionally speaking, and there is the dividing line as the cold front making its way right through us right now. The places that it has already worked its way through, Wichita sits at 12 degrees, Lincoln sits at 9, and compare that to that string of 70s that they got running from that Texarkana up through Little Rock. So it gives you an idea just how quickly that's going to drop after it rolls through. From the national perspective, we do have some watches and warnings to take care of, and of course one of those is the flood watch that is part of that thunderstorm activity, but at least the flash flood watches, they stay off. I do want to point this out. As you work over here through portions of Arkansas and up through the Boot Heel, see that yellow right there? Well, that indicates a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado watch in effect for all those counties. That's right, tornado watch. And then as we push off to our west, we've got the wind chill advisory for central Kansas and then our counties in northeast Oklahoma in the midst of the winter storm watch. Now, the winter storm watch is actually in anticipation of what we've got coming here on Wednesday into Thursday, because we're going to pick up a little ice, and that's going to come up from the southwest right along 44. Ice down to the southern portion. We've got snow up on the top. And that's going to be a little bit of a mess there from Thursday afternoon is what we're looking at. Thursday afternoon when that starts all the way through Thursday morning.
All right, we'll be keeping an eye on that and have the latest.
Not much of a melt either, I promise you that much.
Not like last weekend.
Right.
All right, thanks, Michael. Joplin Fire Department is investigating what led to a fire at the Best Western Oasis. It happened around 3:30 Monday afternoon. Crews from Newton County Ambulance and Reddings Mill Fire were called in to assist. No one was hurt. Kansas lawmakers are considering 2 proposals that would make it harder for police to seize and keep cash and property from people suspected in crimes. One bill would require law enforcement to get a criminal conviction before seizing assets. Currently, law enforcement can go to civil court to get approval to take property officers believe is linked to a crime. Now, supporters of the process say it serves as a deterrent to crime and provides important funding for law enforcement. The latest Kansas Bureau of Investigation report on the practice said the law enforcement agency statewide claimed $2.1 million in cash and nearly $800,000 in other property in 2020 through the civil forfeiture process. Pittsburgh Police Department arrests a man who they say broke into the high school. Police say Saturday the suspect broke into the high school, used a fire hose to spray water in the gym, and stole property. Investigators say he was arrested shortly after the break-in was discovered and the stolen property was in his possession. No official charges have been filed. In a statement, the superintendent said the suspect is cooperating with the investigation and, quote, "We are thankful that student and staff remained unharmed during the incident and that learning and activities will continue as planned this week at Pittsburgh High School." 93,000 is the number of drug overdose deaths in the United States in 2020. Locally, officials say the numbers are average. COVID-19 pandemic is added to the opioid epidemic, with the worst surge coming in 2020. Officials with Met's ambulance in Joplin say they had 155 overdose calls in 2021. Each of them required the use of Narcan. Officials with the Ozark Center New Directions facility say at the beginning of the pandemic, they saw a jump in opioid overdoses. However, they say there are options available for those struggling with addiction.
So if they're a person that likes more of a group type setting, if a person likes more of an individual one-on-one type basis, a detox type program, a residential program, all of those services are all provided, and we are able to do that here at Ozark Center.
The Ozark Center is hosting a free event for those impacted by a friend or family member's addiction this March. We've got more information in the story over at KOAMnewsnow.com. This week is National Eating Disorders Week, and to help raise awareness for the disorders, the Ozark Center gave us a look at just how they treat them. They use exposure therapy, which allows the patient to face their different fears and difficulties. They also use Reconnect coaches. They try a more personable approach with the patient that they hope makes them more open.
It kind of opens up more topics and more conversations that they wouldn't even think to tell their therapist or their dietitian or nurse or something, because they're just asking those like clinical questions. So it makes it more, I agree, I think it just makes it more personal.
You can find more information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. On Monday, people in the medical field learned some valuable lessons at the 7th Annual Guardians of the Heart Conference. Conference is hosted at Downstream Casino and Resort in Quapaw, Oklahoma. Focuses on several topics including cardiology, neurology, and trauma care.
I don't think people realize all the time, but fire, EMS, and police, they all work together. I mean, everybody's going for the same goal. So it's great to be able to provide educational opportunities where they can come in and kind of learn what each other does, learn how to work together, and learn how to work as a team.
The conference runs through Wednesday. Missouri Southern and the Joplin Chamber are once again teaming up to make sure that graduating students are dressed to impress. Each year, the school provides, through donations, clothes for students to wear at job interviews. Things like suit jackets and slacks, and they are in need of donations.
Dress slacks for men and women, and professional tops like button-up tops for men and women. Those are things that we always need. Guys, I know you have out there ties that you never wear. Pass those on to the next generation. Maybe a gentleman who's a senior here at Missouri Southern State University would love that tie, but you don't wear it very often.
You can drop off donations at Missouri Southern or the Joplin Chamber. It's 5:07.
Thunderstorms have moved off to the east. Looks like the majority of the southern portion of our highlighted counties got anywhere from ½ an inch to 1.5 inches. Just south of Monette, looks like that's the most. Look at that little band of lightning right there. My goodness, on that leading edge. So at least we don't have to worry about that. We're going to be paying attention up to the north, making sure we don't get any freezing precip. If we do, it'll be light drizzle. But remember, the cold front is upon us. Temperatures plummeting down 19 right now in the northwest compared to 60s down by Cassville. But everybody is going to slowly drop into the low 20s here by this afternoon.
Look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, MSSU takes on Missouri Western. Stick with us. We'll have the results of that game. Plus, we've all done crazy things as a teen. But have you ever broken into someone's house and used it for a party? Well, that's what one group of teenagers did. We'll have more details on this wild party they threw. And there's a path to help you recover your New Year's resolutions. We'll have that for you coming up this half hour. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
It's free.
Final week of the regular season for MIAA basketball. Missouri Southern men hit the road against Mo Western. It's a makeup game from earlier this year. Lions trying to snap a 3-game losing streak against Western. Second half, Avery Taggart drives, finishes, Lions down just 3 with 7 minutes to go. On the other end, Jerron Thames, floater in the paint, gets the Griffins back up 8. Now only 4 minutes to play, but Taggart with a big night hits 5 threes, a game-high 25 points. Southern makes 3 free throws when the game was tied in the final 30 seconds. Western ball under 10 seconds. Q Mays for the tie. Nope. Southern holds on, wins this thing at Western. Final score 71-68. Two of the best girls teams in Southwest Missouri met in Carl Junction last night. The Bulldogs welcoming in the Nixa Eagles, a battle of two top 10 teams. Nixa currently ranked 4th in Class 6, CJ number 7 in Class 5. Good start for Carl Junction. Destiny Berge out to Hallie Shorter with the 3 ball. Then flip it around. This time Shorter finds Berge with the 3. Berge had 9 in the first, 27 in the game. Macy Conway, she proved to be problematic in the second quarter. Turns around and scores for Nixa. Then minutes later, working again down low on the block. Conway had 12 in the first half alone. Nixa up 15 at halftime. Third quarter, Kylie Scott saves it to Desi Williams. Freshman with a great game. CJ gets within 8 going into the fourth. In fact, they got within 1, but Nora Clark scores, gets the foul. Clark with 17 points. And then Macy Conway, she had 23 of her own. Nixa outlasts Carl Junction, wins it 70-59. In Joplin, senior night for the Joplin girls against Neosho. Early on, Carly Ellick, she turns, finishes off the block. Ellick scored 12 for Neosho. In the second quarter, Bryn Driver, she had a night, corner 3 ball. Driver had 10. Not to be outdone in the second half, Brooke Nice, open in the far corner for Joplin. She would lead the Eagles with 14 points. Joplin up 2 at the break. They pull away in the fourth quarter. Emma Floyd working down low with the offensive rebound and the putback bucket. Joplin, big win on senior night. Final score 40-26. Missouri Southern baseball team finishing up the MIAA GLVC crossover. Lions winners of their first 3 in the crossover after sweeping a doubleheader from Truman State on Sunday. Southern on the field against Illinois Springfield, looking for their 4th straight win. 4th inning. Check out Drew Davis. Get you some. Up, out, and away. First year home run of the year for Davis. 5 runs in the inning. Yeah, stomp that thing. Prairie Stars tie it. Back up. Then in the bottom of the 5th, Matt Miller gets the Lions back on top. Single brings in Clay Milas. Lions lead 7-6. But once again, we're tied at 8 in the bottom of the 8th. 2 on, 2 out. Ryan Doran. Right up the middle. Here comes Tragan Parker. Here comes Drew Davis. 10-8 Lions, and that is your final score. Southern 4-0 in the crossover matchup with Pitt State coming to town for the MIAA opener on Friday.
Like Springfield and Quincy and Nova, these teams that we played, that's MIAA baseball, and so there's no gimmies in our league, and I know it's a cliche, everybody says that, but we get off, right off the bat, we play a really good opponent, and that's the same every weekend in our league, and so if we can remain consistent with our effort, we'll be able to have competitive games.
On to Pittsburgh, where the Gorillas trying to take the series from Wayne State after splitting the first 2 games of a 3-game series. Wildcats with the bases loaded in the first. Zach Curry. Ho! Steals home. My goodness. Wayne State gets 2 in the top of the first. Gorillas, though, get their damage done in the bottom of 2. 2 on for Ryan Koval. This thing all the way to the wall. Scores Garrett McGowan and Cruz Aranda. We're tied up. Then Mason Hartman shoots one down the right field line. Koval's not stopping. He scores all the way from second. Pitt State has its first lead, and they're not done. Second and third for Caleb Carr. Put the ball in play. Good things happen. 2 more runs score. 5 runs in the second for the Gorillas as Pitt State takes the series, wins it 9-5. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, U.S.-China relations looking a bit rocky as Beijing publicly supports Russia through the Ukraine-Russia crisis. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Here at Aberdeen.
Thunderstorm activity for our Tuesday morning mainly dominated our southern counties just south of the I-44 corridor. Here we are over 7th and Range Line with a cold front as what we'll turn our attention to for the rest of the morning. 38 degrees and dropping as the wind now moves in from the northwest. And there you can tell by the color contour exactly where that cold front's pushing through. We're still sitting high 50s down in the southern and southeastern portion of southwest Missouri compared to 19 up in Yates Center. And just to give you an idea there of the entire Midwest and how this thing is pushing, we're kind of right on the leading edge of it right now. Cuts the Show Me State in half and then works itself through eastern Oklahoma. Here's what it feels like outside, down to 9 degrees in Yates Center, 13 in Iola. So if you're going to do that, that's a 50-degree difference between what we're seeing in Cassville, Mount Vernon, even Bentonville right there, between our highs and our lows. It's an impressive gap. Here is the Skywatch storm tracker with the aforementioned thunderstorms now off to the east right there. We got anywhere from about half an inch to inch and a half. Is about the most that we saw. We still are going to keep that flood watch up for the eastern portion of southwest Missouri here throughout the morning. But for the most part, definitely the hardest of the rain is gone. We'll kind of turn our attention up to the north and make sure that we don't get hit by a little freezing drizzle. Anything we do won't be too expensive. But here are the watches, warnings, and advisories that we have. We'll start out to the east where we have the green. You can tell the white flashing. That is a brand new one that has just popped up here in the last several minutes. Anyway, we've got the flood watch to the east. Then as we turn our attention to northeast Oklahoma and that darker blue, that is a winter storm watch. Far north, that is going to be a winter weather advisory. And the white that you see that we just saw blinking, the brand new one, that's what they deem a special weather statement. All things said, this is all in anticipation of what's going to happen from, minus the flood watch, of course, that's from today. But all the winter weather advisories and statements and watches and whatnot, that's going to be for what transpires Wednesday into Thursday. So like I said, we're done with the hardest of our rain now. So let's talk about the problematic time, which is going to begin Wednesday morning. Tuesday as we kind of cruise through here, clear off the skies, and then here we go. In the morning, it creeps in from the southwest. And, snow's one thing, but look at that ice, because that ice in the pink, that freezing rain right there, that sticks around all the way into Wednesday night, if not Thursday morning. And that's why those accumulation numbers, they are going to begin to pile up. That's quite impressive when you get down to the south right there and you're looking at quarter to half an inch of what they call ice accretion. Fancy word for saying how much builds up on the ground right there. And even that tenth to a quarter, that's something you don't mess around with when we talk about driving in it. And give you an idea from the national perspective how that spawns kind of in north central Texas and makes its way toward us before it just keeps reloading there in the Lone Star State. And that's kind of the problem. As far as the 7-day forecast goes, yeah, we knew it was going to be cold, and we kind of start this afternoon. Kind of stuck in the 20s after that. Friday we do get a break though. Should have mostly sunny skies. Just not much of a warm up, and then up into the 30s and 40s for Saturday and Sunday. Time now to turn our attention to the KOM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. House party under investigation in Arizona. Police say a group of teenagers broke into a $1 million home, threw a massive party, and even had a DJ. Neighbors are furious, say police should have done more. Amy Cutler with the story.
Brian Frank sent me this cell phone video of the 150-plus person party at his neighbor's house. But Franks knew they were lying. He's been watching this home for his neighbor. She's selling it.
They were using this backyard as their personal backyard. They basically set up the DJ equipment, were playing pool, and had a big party going on.
Frank says his dogs alerted him to it early Sunday morning. At first, he thought someone was breaking in. Then he realized what was really going on. He called police. Video from the Ring camera shows someone with a ski mask knocking it up.
We're not talking about kids that just came in here and had a couple beers. We're talking about kids that came in here and got obliterated.
Video shows 2 of them carrying someone out. It also shows several officers arriving to break the party up. Frank takes issue with what happened next.
The kids were allowed to leave on their own free will, knowingly how much alcohol was in this building and how much pot.
Police confirm a driver leaving the party was charged with a DUI. I followed up with Goodyear Police. They're defending their officers' actions, saying there was a safe resolution, and they continue to investigate who organized the event.
You would expect for teenagers that have broken into somebody's property, for those teenagers to be held accountable.
Another neighbor had this message.
Have respect for other people's property. Grow up.
Neighbors say they worry if those responsible aren't held accountable, they're just going to do it again. Our question to you this morning, craziest thing you did as a teenager. You can connect to us via Facebook, go straight to the Insta poll. We got that QR code we'll show a little bit later. Come back and do Healthwatch next.
Topping Healthwatch this morning, this is a critical time in the year when it comes to sticking to those resolutions you set on January 1st. And if you fail to stick to your goals, experts say it's not too late. Mandy Gaither has 3 tips to help you recover from resolution mistakes.
Most New Year's resolutions lose steam by now, and if you're feeling defeated, instead of throwing in the towel, how about a reboot?
Right now is really a make or break when it comes to your New Year's resolutions, because the newness and the shininess has all faded from January 1st.
Health and fitness expert Stephanie Mansour has these 3 steps to help get you back on track. Number 1, assess what went wrong. Maybe you set a nearly impossible goal or too many goals and now you're overwhelmed. Focus on more sustainable and realistic goals to better manage expectations.
Whatever your goal is, make sure that it's super specific and customized to fit your life. So working out more, I want you to go into your calendar and place in what day and what time and what type of workout you are going to do. That's going to create an automatic habit.
Number 2, course correct or change course altogether. Changing focus could be just what you need to get in alignment with your goals. For example, maybe you realize that getting better sleep is more important than your resolution to lose weight. And 3, track your progress. Use an app to track your workouts or food intake, or write out your progress in a journal. This helps you see the big picture.
Being able to see your progress over time is going to give you evidence about whether or not you are actually putting in the effort that it takes to reach the goal.
Well, here's another tip. Give your big goals mini goals. For example, if you're aiming to exercise 5 days a week for 30 minutes each time, you can break that up into 5-minute increments throughout the day. There's an idea. Researchers believe they may have found the answer to healing the current social divide. Music. A recent study from the University of Cambridge suggests music could play a role in overcoming divisions across the globe. That's because researchers say lovers of music tend to share similar personality traits no matter their native countries. Researchers studied the musical preferences of more than 350,000 people from over 50 countries and found links between music choices and personalities are universal. For instance, if you're a fan of Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, they say you are more likely to be an agreeable person. People who are more open love replaying David Bowie's Space Oddity or Nina Simone. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Coming up, a local Joplin motel experiences a fire.
The wind chill is dropping into single digits, and the cold front, it is advancing upon the 4 states quickly, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And this week we're highlighting eating disorders. We'll have a behind-the-scenes look at how one organization is helping those with the eating disorders.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
It is 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a minute, but first let's go to Michael Hayslip in the Skywatch Weather Center.
Bundle up. Cold front right now making its way right through the Miami, Joplin, Carthage line. So even though we see 38 in Joplin, it's going to continue to drop even after sunrise, all the way down into the 20s before we begin to stabilize. We've already seen the results up in the northwest, where we sit in the teens to low 20s, and look down there in Cassville and Monette, still close to 60 degrees. But everybody's going to be entrenched with the colder temperatures here by the time we get into late Tuesday morning. Luckily, our thunderstorm activity has pushed off to the east. We're done with it for the most part. It wasn't widespread, dominated the southern portion, anywhere from ½ inch to 1.5 inches of accumulation, especially in the Monette area is where we saw the most of it. And so we keep a flood watch up there. It runs all the way through eastern Missouri. Let's talk about the new ones that we've got. We'll start down to the south for northeast Oklahoma. That darker blue that you see is a winter storm watch. Then the white counties throughout southeast Kansas, that's what they call a special weather statement. Now, all of these are in relation to what we're going to get from Wednesday morning into Thursday. The purple at the very top, a winter weather advisory. So while the majority of our precip is done for today, we'll keep our eyes up on the north and make sure that we don't pick up any freezing drizzle throughout the course of the show. We really get started later tomorrow morning, and once we do, it works in from the southwest. We're talking about a fair amount of ice accumulation and snow. Got that dividing line right there, and when you get down to our southern counties, could be anywhere from a quarter to half an inch of ice because it continues to roll through most of Wednesday afternoon and early evening as well into Thursday morning. After that, at least we get some sunshine on Friday. We're just not going to be able to melt this off really anytime soon until we get to the weekend.
All right. Well.
So even though we're talking about Wednesday into Thursday, the ice falling, let's remember it's still going to be there on most of Thursday and Friday and Saturday morning as well.
Can't beat that. Yeah, for sure. We'll keep an eye on it. Thanks, Michael. Pittsburgh Police Department arrests a man who they say broke into the high school. Police say Saturday the suspect broke into the high school, used a fire hose to spray water in the gym, and stole property. Investigators say he was arrested shortly after the break-in was discovered with the stolen property in his possession, and no official charges have been filed. In a statement, the superintendent says the school is cooperating with the investigation and, quote, "We are thankful that student and staff remain unharmed during this incident and that learning and activities will continue as planned this week at Pittsburgh High School." Joplin Fire Department is investigating what led to a fire at the Best Western Oasis. It happened around 3:30 Monday afternoon. Crews from Newton County Ambulance and Reddings Mill Fire were called in to assist. No one was hurt. 93,000, that's the number of drug overdose deaths in the United States in 2020. Locally, officials say the numbers are average. COVID-19 pandemic has added to the opioid epidemic, with the worst surge coming in 2020. Officials with Met's Ambulance in Joplin say they had 155 overdose calls in 2021, each of them requiring the use of Narcan. Officials with the Ozark Center's New Directions facility say at the beginning of the pandemic, they saw a jump in opioid overdoses.
We're trying to deal with our emotions and dealing with the things that are happening. We're using substances in order to better to address that for a lot of those struggling with addictions. And so anytime you're using that main coping skill to be able to address certain things in life, there's going to be an increase. And that's really across the board, not just opiates, but in all substances used as a coping skill.
There are other dangers when it comes to substance abuse and addiction, ones that are unknown to some people. Well, this week is National Eating Disorders Week, and to help raise awareness for the disorders, the Ozark Center gave us a look at just how they treat them. They use exposure therapy, which allows the patient to face their different fears and difficulties. They also use Reconnect coaches. They try a more personable approach with the patient that they hope makes them more open.
It kind of opens up more topics and more conversations that they wouldn't even think to tell their therapist or their dietitian or nurse or something, because they're just asking those like clinical questions. So it makes it more, I agree, I think it just makes it more personal.
You can find more information on our website at koamnewsnow.com. Missouri Southern and the Joplin Chamber are once again teaming up to make sure that graduating students are dressed to impress. Each year, the school provides, through donations, clothes for students to wear at job interviews. Things like suit jackets and slacks, and they're in need of donations.
These are garments that you would wear to a job that would be considered professional or professional casual. So we're not looking for jeans, we're not looking for t-shirts, but maybe for something that you would expect someone to wear in a job interview. Now, I know not everybody's going to wear a tie to work every day, but we're also expecting things that are professional dress clothes.
You can drop off donations at Missouri Southern or the Joplin Chamber. Here's Michael with a look at your forecast.
Let's take a look at our 24-hour temp change regionally. In Joplin and KC, down 15 degrees. Look out, excuse me, look out to the west right there. Wichita and Dodge City, in excess of a 30-degree drop from where we were at this point in time. Speaking of 30 degrees, that's about what it is right now in Joplin as the cold front continues to work its way through, holding at 38, but that number is going to drop. Thunderstorm activity kicked off to our east. We're done with it. Now we pay attention right up here. See, here, let's lose the satellite coverage. We'll get a better look at it here. Right up here around Kansas City. That's what we're going to eyeball here for the rest of the show. Make sure it doesn't creep into our counties. Now remember, the big one is going to be for Wednesday morning, late Wednesday morning into Thursday, because that thing not only wants to throw some snow our way, but it's more the freezing rain that we got to be worried about coming out of, actually generates in Texas. makes its way over the Red River, right through Oklahoma, stays as frozen rain, and then rolls right through us from Wednesday into Thursday morning.
Well, got a lot of changes coming our way.
Yeah.
I want to go back to yesterday's 70-degree weather. That was beautiful.
And
little
no
windy,
joke.
little windy.
That's okay. All of a sudden, I'm not complaining about the wind. That is for sure.
All right, thanks, Michael. Well, this morning we are discussing doing crazy things as teenagers. And some Arizona teens broke into a $1 million home in Arizona and had a party there. Now, this party was wild. It included drugs, alcohol, and even a DJ. The teenagers lied, saying they had permission of the house owner to use the house for the party, but the neighbor knew they were lying because of the fact his former neighbor was selling the house. Neighbors, including the one who knew they were lying, felt the police should have taken more actions in regards to these teens. That brings us to our something to talk about. What was the craziest thing you did as a teenager?
Right now, Tanya, we got a pretty even split between partying and doing nothing. That chimes in at 36% of you. 28% decided you were not going to wait until you were 21. You can always connect to us several ways via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now, directly to the poll, KOAMNewsNow.com/vote, or our QR code. If you've got your phone handy, all you have to do is take a picture of that. Somebody help me. There we go. I was going to say, I don't know if we needed to lose that graphic there on the bottom. Snap a picture of that, and it will take you to the poll each and every morning.
I was kind of thinking on the poll, I was talking to my newsroom crew this morning that we needed a all of the above option.
Oh, well, hey. Okay.
Not saying me.
Okay, craziness.
Asking for a friend.
Uh-huh.
That's how that works.
I know a guy.
I was a good kid.
So they say. So they say.
Yes.
Well, I'll let the elders of Jetmore tell me the real story.
Please don't ask. Please don't ask. All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, the Queen of England will not let COVID stop her. Queen Elizabeth II continues to work despite her COVID diagnosis. You go, girl. Plus, Mount Etna, located in Italy, erupts for a second time. We're going to fill you in on the details of this latest eruption. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Dear Winter, my squad of 16 vehicles with all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive is revving to
Temperatures falling throughout the 4 states this morning until we stabilize for the afternoon, but much, much colder than what we had yesterday. We're going to see about a 35 to 38 degree drop. Don't have to fight any wind. I guess that's a positive, but going to have to fight, number one, the cold. Number two, we got a little ice and snow that begin to move in on Wednesday, bringing us severe winter weather warnings, watches, and advisories till Thursday.
Topping World Watch, there are growing questions about where the U.S. relationship with China is heading. Sources say the Biden administration is considering a change or an end to a successful program combating Chinese economic theft. This comes amid increasing worry over Beijing's support for Russia's aggression against Ukraine. David Spunt has more from the Justice Department.
As Russia prepares to invade Ukraine, well-placed intelligence sources tell Fox News China is cheering on the sidelines. At the same time, the Biden Department of Justice facing political and diplomatic pressure to drop a program aimed at rooting out Chinese espionage, economic and military.
The People's Republic of China is a serious threat to our intellectual property. They represent a serious threat with respect to espionage.
According to DOJ, around 80% of economic espionage prosecutions benefit the communist nation. In 2018, to applause from both sides of the aisle, the Trump DOJ introduced the China Initiative to confront Chinese espionage. Protesters stood outside the Department of Justice last month begging for an end to the 3-year-old program.
Stop the China Initiative as we know it. Catch the spy not the Chinese American scientists.
Nearly 200 Yale professors recently wrote and signed this letter to Attorney General Garland, arguing the strategy contains fundamental flaws and is problematic on many levels, including racial profiling. National security experts argue the mission is stopping espionage.
China is closing in on us. They're up to about 75% or even 80% of the size of our economy already. And the way they're doing this is better technology that they develop and also that they steal.
The initiative yielded multiple prosecutions. Former Harvard professor Dr. Charles Lieber will go to prison for covering up his intellectual and financial ties to the communist country. But the Justice Department recently dropped the case against MIT professor Gang Chen over a procedural mistake.
We just hope that they will end the prosecuting of Chinese American scientists and allow them to go back to do the research rather than fear for their future.
The official DOJ review of the China initiative is near completion. We're told there will be changes. However, a DOJ spokesperson has declined to comment on those changes.
Italy's Mount Etna erupts again Monday, sending up a 7.5-mile-high cloud of volcanic smoke and ash over eastern Sicily. Lava flowed around a crater on the mountain's southern slope. So far, no injuries or property damage has been reported. Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology did issue an aircraft warning, and the local airport was temporarily closed. Earlier in February, Etna erupted, sending volcanic lightning bolts across the sky. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Joplin Fire Department investigates what led to a fire at the Best Western Oasis. It happened around 3:30 Monday afternoon. Crews from Newton County Ambulance and Readings Mill Fire were called in to assist. No one was hurt. Pittsburgh police arrest a man who they say broke into the high school. Police say Saturday the suspect broke into the high school, used a fire hose to spray water in the gym, and stole property. Investigators say he was arrested shortly after the break-in was discovered with the stolen property in his possession. No official charges have been filed. In a statement, the superintendent said the school is cooperating with the investigation and, quote, "We are thankful that student and staff remain unharmed during this incident and that learning and activities will continue as planned this week at Pittsburgh High School." A new report from the Department of Finance and Administration shows medical marijuana sales have passed $20 million in Arkansas. According to the DFA, patients in Arkansas spent $20.53 million in January to obtain 3,731 pounds of medical marijuana. DFA officials noted out of the 37 dispensaries in the state, the Natural Relief Dispensary in Sherwood had the largest month of sales with 387 pounds. Relief Center in Bentonville followed with 333 pounds. As of January, officials with the DFA reported the state's tax surpassed $60 million in overall tax collection from the medical marijuana industry. Missouri Southern and the Joplin Chamber are once again teaming up to make sure graduating students are dressed to impress. Each year, the school provides, through donations, clothing for students to wear at job interviews, things like suit jackets and slacks, and they're in need of donations. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Holding steady at 38 degrees in Joplin, but if you notice throughout portions of southeast Kansas already dropping down into the low 20s, if not the teens, out to the west. So we'll continue to see our temperatures drop throughout the morning. Thunderstorm activity, a thing of the past, as it's now moved off to the east. One thing that we will prepare for is what's going to transpire from Wednesday into Thursday, as we will begin to pick up not only some snow on the north side of I-44, more importantly, the freezing rain going to pick up the ice just along and a little bit to the north of 44, mainly for our southern counties, leading to winter weather watches. We'll be back with more KOM Morning News right after this.
95-year-old Queen Elizabeth is back at work after learning she has tested positive for COVID. Royal officials revealed the diagnosis on Sunday, the same day Britain's Prime Minister said we need to learn to live with this virus and signaled the end of most COVID restrictions. Ian Lee reports from outside Windsor Castle near London, where the Queen is in isolation.
In true British form, Queen Elizabeth is carrying on with light duties.
It's quite reassuring that we're hearing that she has just mild cold-like symptoms, but it is still too early to say. Many people do progress to more serious symptoms after a week or so into illness.
I'm here.
Last week, the Queen met with members of the military, keeping her walking stick close by.
How are you? Well, as you can see, I can't move.
Just weeks ago, Prince Charles and his wife Camilla came down with the virus. He's now back at work. While it's unclear how the Queen caught it, she's believed to be triple vaccinated and has a team of top doctors looking after her.
I would be monitoring her temperature, her respiratory rate, her oxygen levels to see if she was progressing towards severe disease.
Thank you very much indeed.
Queen Elizabeth is currently celebrating her Platinum Jubilee, marking 70 years on the throne. But it hasn't all been cake, as her COVID diagnosis capped off a stressful week for the royal family. Prince Andrew settled a sexual assault lawsuit with Virginia Giuffre for an undisclosed amount. And now British police are investigating Prince Charles' charity for allegedly offering royal favors in exchange for donations. There's also been speculation about the Queen's health. Last October, she spent a night at a hospital in London for an undisclosed condition. Her doctors told her at the time to rest and slow down.
Windsor Castle was Queen Elizabeth's fortress of solitude during the pandemic, but as restrictions eased, even today we're expecting the Prime Minister to announce the lifting of restrictions in England. We are learning that the Queen is just one of a larger outbreak of COVID cases among her staff. Ian Lee, CBS News, Windsor, England.
We'll be right back with a final look at your forecast.
Temperatures going to continue to fall throughout the morning till we stabilize in the high 20s, low 30s this afternoon. Big changes are coming Wednesday morning. We'll break down the snow and the ice when we return right after this.
Coming up, a fire breaks out at a Best Western in Joplin.
Temperatures continue to drop, and eventually we're going to be talking about snow and ice for the middle of the week, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we take a look at how one organization brings awareness to National Eating Disorders Week right here in our area.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. But first, let's go to Michael Hayslip, and we've got cold weather to talk about.
And a little light rain coming down as well. So let's consider it fortunate that areas like Joplin, where we see some dots showing up there on the tower cam at 7th and Range Line, are at the freezing mark, coming off of a very warm Monday. That really helped warm our ground up. So we should be good to go as far as anything sticking right now, but we'll definitely pay attention and see if that flips over as it does exit out of the skies. No travel concerns so far, according to our Department of Transportation pages, and have not picked up any reports of any slick spots on the roads. What we are seeing is the temperatures now dropping considerably on that Miami-Joplin-Carthage line. We've seen about a 6-degree drop in the past 15 to 20 minutes alone, already down into the teens and 20s throughout southeast Kansas. Cassville was sitting up at, say about 59 degrees not too long ago, now all the way down to 49. Here's what it feels like, single digits up in Yates Center and Iola, and we're going to continue to drop. Now the thunderstorm activity, it's pushed off to the east, but we do know that we've got that precip falling there at 7th and Range Line, so that's why we'll be keeping our eyes on everything that works in from the north. Eventually, we're going to have to turn our attention, though, what comes out of the south, because we've got color-coded counties just about everywhere. We'll start with our dark blue. Now that our flood watches are over, we'll start with our dark blue, and that's a winter storm watch in anticipation of Wednesday's ice and snow. The white considered a special weather statement / winter storm watch, and then the purple up to the north, that is a winter weather advisory. Either which way you cut it, it is because of what we've got cooking out of, believe it or not, north central Texas is where everything is going to originate from. So there we look at today. Like I said, we're just going to keep our eyes on the precip for this morning. Clear off overnight, then get ready for late Wednesday morning. And here it comes. We've got snow and, of course, the freezing rain indicated in the pink. And you'll notice it sticks around all the way from Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And when we talk about the ice tracker, could be seeing anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 an inch the farther south that you go. Looks like everybody's squarely going to end up with around 1/10 of an inch, and no melt in sight after it does hit the ground, because we're considerably below the freezing mark until we get to the weekend.
Yeah, those are some pretty cold nights.
We knew it was going to be an interesting 36.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Thanks, Michael. Joplin Fire Department investigates what led to a fire at the Best Western Oasis. It happened around 3:30 Monday afternoon. Crews from Newton County Ambulance and Reddings Mill Fire were called in to assist. No one was hurt. Kansas lawmakers have 2 proposals to consider that would make it harder for police to seize and keep cash and property from people suspected in crimes. One bill would require law enforcement to get a criminal conviction before seizing assets. Currently, law enforcement can go to civil court to get approval to take property officers believe is linked to a crime. Now, supporters of the process say it serves as a deterrent to crime and provides important funding for law enforcement. The latest Kansas Bureau of Investigation report on the practice said law enforcement agencies statewide claimed $2.1 million in cash and nearly $800,000 in other property in 2020 through the civil forfeiture process. 93,000 people died from a drug overdose in the United States in 2020. Locally, officials say the numbers are average. The COVID-19 pandemic has added to the opioid epidemic, with the worst surge coming in 2020. Now, officials with Met's Ambulance in Joplin say they had 155 overdose calls in 2021, each of them requiring the use of Narcan. Officials with the Ozark Center's New Directions facility say at the beginning of the pandemic, they saw a jump in opioid overdoses.
Anytime we're trying to deal with our emotions and dealing with the things that are happening, we're using substances in order to better to address that for a lot of those struggling with addictions. And so anytime you're using that main coping skill to be able to address certain things in life, there's going to be an increase. And that's really across the board, not just opiates, but in all substances used as a coping skill.
There are other dangers when it comes to substance abuse and addiction, ones that are unknown to some people. This week is National Eating Disorders Week, and to help raise awareness for the disorders, the Ozark Center gave us a look at just how they treat them. They use exposure therapy, which allows the patient to face their different fears and difficulties. They also use reconnect coaches. They try a more personable approach with the patient that they hope makes them more open.
Opens up more topics and more conversations that they wouldn't even think to tell their therapist or their dietitian or nurse or something, because they're just asking those like clinical questions. So it makes it more, I agree, I think it just makes it more personal.
You can find more information on our website at koamnewsnow.com. On Monday, people in the medical field learned some valuable lessons at the 7th Annual Guardians of the Heart Conference. The conference is hosted at Downstream Casino and Resort in Quapaw, Oklahoma. It focuses on several topics, including cardiology, neurology, and trauma care.
Yeah, I mean, we provide a lot of educational opportunities here that, you know, I don't know that you're going to go a lot of other places and get everything you can here in one place.
The conference runs through Wednesday. Missouri Southern and the Joplin Chamber are once again teaming up to make sure that graduating students are dressed to impress. Each year, the school provides, through donations, clothing for students to wear at job interviews, things like suits and jackets and slacks, and they're in need of donations.
These are garments that you would wear to a job that would be considered professional or professional casual. So we're not looking for jeans, we're not looking for t-shirts, but maybe for something that you would expect someone to wear in a job interview. Now, I know not everybody's going to wear a tie to work every day, but we're also expecting things that are professional dress clothes.
At Missouri Southern or the Joplin Chamber. Well, on this date, back in 1980, one of the most dramatic upsets in sports history took place at the 13th Winter Olympics at Lake Placid, New York. The underdog U.S. men's hockey team, a team consisting of college kids, took on the 4-time gold medal winning Soviet Dream Team. 2 days before the match, the Soviets had crushed the Americans 10-3 in an exhibition game, and the Soviets were regarded as the finest hockey team in the world. The game took place before a sold-out crowd of 10,000 frenzied fans. Despite the Soviets scoring first, the game went into the third period with a 3-3 tie. But the Americans managed to pull off the unexpected miracle and defeat the Soviets 4-3. 2 days later, the Miracle on Ice team went on to win the gold medal against Finland.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that was actually not the gold medal game.
Yeah.
And not the first Miracle on Ice. Go back to the 1960 U.S. Olympic team. They were down. Were they down? 4-3 in the third period to the Czechs. They reeled off 6 consecutive goals.
Oh wow!
I know. That's something else. All right, Tanya, I want to do an update here. We've got some light freezing drizzle coming down far eastern portion of southeast Kansas. Now, even with the sweeping radar, so light, not yet being picked up, but got a report of that. And then as we transition into northeast Oklahoma, Delaware, and Craig County, among those that are also receiving patching freezing drizzle, and down in Tulsa, I know it's a little bit south of us, but an indicator of what can happen. Down in Tulsa, they're already seeing ice develop on elevated areas. Not so much bridges and overpasses. They're more talking about towers, but gives you an idea about what we can expect here as we push through Tuesday. Not quite out of the woods yet, and then of course we got to get ready for Wednesday morning.
That's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, we've got Jasmine Kyle from the SEK Humane Society in our studio, here to tell us about a few furry friends that are up for adoption. Plus, as the shadow of invasion continues to loom over Ukraine, anxiety builds for Ukrainian Americans. And we'll introduce you to an organization who's taking on the stigma of mental health in the Black community. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, anxious Ukrainian Americans gathered at a number of rallies across the nation over the weekend, as many concerned with Russia continuing its path towards an invasion of Ukraine. Laura Engel with the latest.
Ukrainian Americans are reacting as tensions in Eastern Europe continue to rise. Dozens of rallies were held nationwide over the weekend, including this one in the nation's capital. More than 300 people gathered. Many of them marched to the White House grounds. They are pleading with President Biden to pass legislation to take a harder stance against Russian President Vladimir Putin.
I think, the one thing that we would ask that the administration do is not wait for an invasion to happen before imposing the sanctions.
Similar rallies were also held in San Diego, San Francisco, and Philadelphia. Anxious Ukrainians are calling for peace and diplomacy amid Putin's military buildup along the Russia-Ukraine border. Ukrainian Americans expressed concern, saying they are nervous for the well-being of their family members back home.
Of course, I'm terrified for their safety and for all the Ukrainian people.
We fear for human life because if such an invasion happens, Ukrainians are not going to stand down.
Meanwhile, a Tampa Bay rescue group is doing what they can to help Ukrainian Americans trapped in Ukraine. Project Dynamo, mostly made up of U.S. veterans, is currently on the ground in Ukraine.
If this thing happens and if it becomes a big evacuation of people, it'll look like what we saw in Kabul during that evacuation.
Project Dynamo team members, which were also responsible for helping Americans out of Afghanistan, say they are not sure how long their team will be in the Ukraine. That's a look at this morning's top national story. We'll be right back with Jasmine Kyle from the SEK Humane Society right after this.
Welcome back. I've got Jasmine Kyle in here from the SEK Humane Society joining us with a lot of details and exciting news about a return of a fundraiser that we were just chatting about during break. Why don't we start off talking about that?
Yeah, so since the pandemic, we are bringing it back, and it's Egg My Yard. This will be the 3rd annual Egg My Yard event for the SEK Humane Society. It's Easter morning, and from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., myself and about 15 to 20 volunteers get on up into Easter gear, and we go decorate people's houses with pre-filled candied eggs for the community. It's a fun fundraiser. It's 25 eggs for $25 or 50 for 40, and really the benefit of it is that parents don't have to worry about really anything that night. No late night when the kids fall asleep and having to preload eggs and wake up early in the morning. We'll do all that work for you. Y'all just have fun. And what we do as well is we leave door knockers on all the doors that state, what's happening, because a lot of the time, over half of them last time we had this event, is that you can actually gift this service to somebody. So it doesn't have to be your yard. So it's a great gift for grandparents with grandkids, or maybe you're a neighbor and you want to do something nice for your other neighborhood community like that. It's super duper fun. It's one that we have had emails about every single year since we've had to pause it, about bringing it back, and sure enough, we're going to bring it back.
All right. Well, that's a wonderful idea, because sometimes that's a little bit of challenge for the Easter Bunny to get up in the middle of the night and make that happen.
We will have sometimes one of our mascots may come, and you may get to see them in your yard too. Aww. So if you sign up for the event, we released it yesterday and we're already a third of the way sold out. It is that popular. But if you sign up for the event and you peek through your windows, you may see some little volunteer bunnies out in your yard this year.
So it will be Easter morning when you find the eggs?
Oh yeah, Easter morning. So you don't have to worry about, this isn't like a little pre-event. It is the event for Easter, and we'll do all your yard work for you with hiding those eggs.
All right. Well, that's cool. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to talk to you about is puppies.
Yes.
Lots of puppies.
We are already seeing an early breeding season this year. So just over this weekend, we got in probably one of our largest litters since 2020, and we have 12 puppies, and that is a lot of puppies. They were all in a tote, of course. Look how cute they are. We believe that they are Boxer Lab Red Heeler mixes, but with our foster program, we're asking really people to open up their doors, because again, this is 12 dogs and we are already at full capacity. So we're trying our best right now to rehouse these guys, and we're offering 2 options, either just regular fostering or foster to adopt as well. With our fostering program, fosters have to live in the state of Kansas, be within 30 miles of our shelter, and of course be 18 years of age. That's it. And of course, if you rent, I got to talk to your landlord to make sure it's okay. But if you're interested in this, please fill out a foster form on our website. Give us a call, email me. We will work with you. And again, all of our fosters are supplied with everything.
Which is awesome. You just need to provide the love and care for these animals.
Exactly. And I've been fostering for quite some time too, and this is something that me and my husband do quite often. We're like the grandparents. I'm Mammal, he's Pop. We're watching the kids until parents come pick them up, right? And I know fostering can be hard for some people, but what you are doing by being a foster is you are providing the necessary steps for these guys to go successfully and stay in their new home, right? You're giving them socialization through love and care. And the biggest thing too that fosters don't realize is just sounds and visuals, right? Just by being in a home, they're seeing a TV come on, right? And monitoring that and knowing that's not a threat. Hearing a dishwasher going off, hear kids laughing and playing. You are providing them those basic training blocks to be a successful adoption. So whether it's a foster to adopt and you're literally watching your new family member grow up into your household, or by being a foster and just changing their behavioral ways, is so much. So with these guys, you of course don't have to foster all 12. We are offering them in 1 to 3, I believe, litters right now. So whether you want to adopt or foster one or just a few of them, we are offering lots of choices for these guys.
Okay, if you don't mind sticking around, I'd love to have you on our Fox show. I have a lot more questions about the fostering program.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't mind. All right, well, we will return in our next hour.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back. Topping Healthwatch this morning, 63% of Black people believe that a mental health condition is a sign of personal weakness. That's according to the National Alliance of Mental Illness, but one organization is helping to remove that stigma. Danya Bacchus has a look at how the Confess Project is using the barbershop to change the narrative of mental health for young men of color and their families.
When you think mental health,
In my personal life, though, you're working yourself ragged.
you don't necessarily think of a barbershop. But at Barberism in Compton, California, owner Donald Conley is giving his clients more
Make sure you take some time for yourself.
than just haircuts.
In a barbershop, people feel safe and they feel like they can open up.
He is part of the Confess Project, a coalition of black barbers trained to be mental health advocates for men who are less likely to see a therapist.
As a barber, we're trained to cut hair, but however, we're trained to read people as well.
The benefits are based in science. Harvard researchers found black barbers are gatekeepers of the community and could help bridge the gap with mental health care.
We believe in a culture of mental health for men and boys of color, and we believe in barbers. We just believe in the trust that they inherently have in the community.
The Confess Project now has more than 1,000 barbers in 40 cities.
We train them on active listening, positive communication, validation, and stigma reduction.
Yeah.
Clients like Aaron Michael Peace. He says sitting in Conley's chair doesn't just help him look good, but feel good too.
There has been absolute times where throughout the week, I go through the week like, dang, I'm super stressed, but I know on a Friday or a Saturday, I have a haircut coming. And when the haircut comes, I can sit in this chair, I can talk to my barber.
The number of people that I'm able to serve and help means exponentially more than the money that I could ever make.
Conley says he's proud to provide a safe space for black men so they can feel seen and heard.
That's right.
Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
To learn more about the Confess Project's locations and mental health resources, you can head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Surgical technique known as the Ross procedure may be the best option for some heart patients. Research at New York's Mount Sinai Hospital shows aortic valve replacement patients under 50 had the best outcomes with the complex procedure as opposed to standard mechanical or biological valve replacements. Doctors say patients should consider all options before making life-changing decisions. And a new study published in the Annals of Internal Medicine finds patients from low-income communities were more likely to have severe symptoms when hospitalized for COVID. Researchers found people from those less privileged areas recovered just as quickly as patients from households with higher incomes and education levels. Researchers say this study highlights the critical role hospitals play in giving everyone equal care. And research on mice could one day help stop autism symptoms from developing. Researchers are experimenting with a way to block brain signals during the first weeks of life that could prevent the disorder from taking shape. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
A little light freezing drizzle coming down, more so down to the south, but we are also seeing it throughout western southeast Kansas and still trying to make that transition over 7th and Rangeline right now. We'll come back and update our temperatures with the cold front rolling through and get our latest reports when we return right after this.
Coming up, a fire breaks out at a Best Western in Joplin.
We've seen the cold front now creep all the way through southwest Missouri, picking up some light freezing drizzle as well. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we take a look at how one organization brings awareness to national eating disorders right here in our area.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. But first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
Starting to see it slip below the freezing mark there in Joplin. So the precipitation over 7th and Rangeline. Haven't seen anything freeze over on the camera as of yet, and that'll be a good indicator because of its elevation right there, but it has not let up. And like I said, we are receiving reports of some patchy freezing drizzle throughout southeast Kansas and northeast Oklahoma. 31 degrees is where we stand in Joplin at Joplin Regional Airport. We've seen that, we were paying attention to that Miami-Joplin-Carthage line because it was sitting at 38 not but half an hour ago. 20s and teens have been dominating southeast Kansas all morning long, and now we're seeing southern southwest Missouri drop as well. Here's a look at our wind chills. While we're talking about this, we do know that the thunderstorm activity has pressed out to the east of us, and so we've been able to lift our flood warnings. But look at that, single digits for Iola, Yates Center, and Neodesha. Skywatch storm tracker, some of it's so light that radar, even the sweeping radar, doesn't pick it up. But once again, I'm going to reiterate, freezing drizzle coming down in southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, and we're going to develop slick spots even in the Joplin and Carthage areas simply because the temperatures continue to fall. Now, we lucked out with the warmer temps yesterday. That really did help out our ground. As far as what we're looking at watch warning advisory wise, we've got special weather statements indicated in white. That is specifically for this morning. The darker blue and the purple, those are winter weather advisories, and those are in anticipation of tomorrow morning. Eventually, we're actually going to see some sunshine here a little bit later on, but after we clear out today, let's all prep for tomorrow because that's going to be a combination of freezing rain. It'll be more than drizzle. This will be some freezing rain that'll roll through all the way into Thursday morning. You could be looking at anywhere from a quarter to half an inch farther south that you go down there in the purple. That's a fair amount of ice buildup right there. Just about everybody else going to be in between 1/10 of an inch and a quarter. And the ice and the snow not going to go anywhere as our daily highs well below the freezing point until we get to Saturday.
Keep your eye on there.
We got a little bit of here, there, and everywhere this morning.
That's for sure. All right.
We have not picked up any new traffic reports, so we're going to call that a good thing right now.
Definitely keep our eye on that too. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, Joplin Fire Department investigates what led to a fire at the Best Western Oasis. It happened around 3:30 Monday afternoon. Crews from Newton County Ambulance and Reddings Mill Fire were called in to assist. No one was hurt. Kansas lawmakers are considering two proposals that would make it harder for police to seize and keep cash and property from people suspected in crimes. One bill would require law enforcement to get a criminal conviction before seizing assets. Currently, law enforcement can go to civil court to get approval to take property officers believe is linked to a crime. Supporters of the process say it serves as a deterrent to crime and provides important funding for law enforcement. The latest Kansas Bureau of Investigation report on the practice said law enforcement agencies statewide claimed $2.1 million in cash and nearly $800,000 in other property in 2020 through the civil forfeiture process. Pittsburgh Police Department arrests a man who they say broke into the high school. Police say on Saturday, the suspect broke into the high school, used a fire hose to spray water in the gym, and stole property. Investigators say he was arrested shortly after the break-in, and the stolen property was in his possession. No official charges have been filed. In a statement, the superintendent says the school is cooperating with the investigation and, quote, "We are thankful that student and staff remain unharmed during this incident and that learning and activities will continue as planned this week at Pittsburgh High School." Well, this week is National Eating Disorders Week, and to help raise awareness for the disorders, the Ozark Center gave us a look at just how they treat them. They use exposure therapy, which allows the patient to face their different fears and difficulties. They also use Reconnect coaches. They try a more personable approach with the patient that they hope makes them more open.
It kind of opens up more topics and more conversations that they wouldn't even think to tell their therapist or their dietitian or nurse or something, because they're just asking those like clinical questions. So it makes it more, I agree, I think it just makes it more personal.
You can find more information on our website at koamnewsnow.com. Well, on this date, back in 1996, Dolly the sheep became the first successfully cloned mammal. Originally codenamed 6LL3, the cloned lamb was named after singer and actress Dolly Parton. The cells for Dolly had been taken from the udder of a 6-year-old ewe and cultured in a lab using microscopic needles. After scientists were able to produce a number of normal eggs, the eggs were implanted into surrogate ewes. 148 days later, Dolly was born. Firestorm of controversy came shortly after the news. Proponents of the science argued in favor of medical advancement, while detractors warned of the potential unsafe and unethical next step of human cloning. For her part, Dolly was mated and gave birth to 4 lambs of her own, despite health issues that continued to raise questions about the cloning process.
That was a little bit contentious. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Yes, everybody's afraid that we just all be running around clones right now.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, folks. What country is that's perfecting the AI anchors?
Probably Japan.
I think it is. Yeah.
Wasn't it like?
I think it was either Japan or South Korea that had the artificial intelligence anchors.
Ooh, speaking of AI technology and stuff, we've got this really advanced story about this really advanced robot that British researchers are working on. We're going to have it later this half hour.
Oh, so it can come take over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Linda Hamilton?
Very, very
right. Where's
human-like.
Linda Hamilton when I need her? She'll save me.
Maybe.
For my older crews with me here. For those of you that don't remember Linda Hamilton, just Terminator. Skywatch Storm Tracker with some freezing, patchy drizzle this morning. So we are going to develop slick spots. It is not widespread so far. Travel conditions, if you slow down, take it easy, and anticipate that you're going to have slick spots out there. It's not going to be as treacherous as what we're expecting for the Wednesday evening and Thursday morning commutes, because that's when we'll have some more widespread freezing rain, legitimate freezing rain and snow to go along with it.
All right, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. Like it or not, robots are becoming more and more lifelike. We're going to show you the latest models. Plus, police are investigating an out-of-control teen house party. We want to know what you did as a teenager. We'll let you weigh in. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, robotic technology can do a lot these days, from vacuuming your house to making meals and even driving cars. And now British engineers are upping their game, developing human-like robots that are more interactive than ever. Ian Lee reports from Falmouth, England.
Engineers have their eyes on the future as they work to build the most lifelike robots on the planet.
If you make a humanoid robot, you're competing against 7.9 billion people in the world.
Meet Amica, the realistic robot created by Engineered Arts in England.
I am so clever that sometimes I don't understand a single word of what I am saying.
The brainy bot can run on AI and recognize people's faces. 17 motors in her head alone help her smile, blink, and even show emotion.
Can you laugh?
I can laugh. Would you like me to?
Yes, please.
But when it comes to replicating human beings, the path to potential perfection isn't easy.
Self-repairing, self-replicating, lasts 100 years, runs off very, very little fuel.
With each step,
even basic human movement can be hard to copy with bones of steel.
It's the holy grail is to reach power density, torque control, force control that you can get from human muscle.
Creators expect companies, rather than consumers, to be the first to hire Amica.
In areas like receptions, maybe in a hotel, shopping malls or airports.
If Amica gives you Hollywood vibes, her makers insist this isn't the beginning of our demise. She can't even walk, yet.
The idea of a rogue robot with a gun is just kind of crazy.
In fact, Amica and her robotic relatives prefer to turn on the charm rather than turn on us. Ian Lee, CBS News, Falmouth, England.
Well, if you're looking at Amica and thinking, I want to buy one, she won't come cheap. The robot sells in 6 figures depending on exactly what you want her to do. Just need her to do the laundry. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, crazy things that teenagers do. Some Arizona teenagers broke into a $1 million home, had themselves a little shindig. Guess we had drugs, booze, and a DJ. How about that? Teenagers lied, saying they had permission of the house owner to use the house, but the neighbor knew they were lying because, in fact, the house is for sale. Neighbors think the police should have done a little bit more. My goodness, that's not a house party. It's like the entire high school's out there. All right, our question to you this morning, craziest thing you did as a teenager. 28% of you partied, 28% of you said you did nothing, 24% of you saying you did not wait until you were 21 years old. Appreciate the engagement each and every morning. kiddos, don't, if you're going to throw a house party, don't invite that many people. You're just asking for trouble. We're going to come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, but first, a look at what's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Ahead on CBS Mornings, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan joins us to discuss the standoff over Ukraine and whether a Russian invasion can be prevented. Also, we talk with an alleged victim of the so-called Tinder swindler, how she says she fell in love and then eventually lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And legendary actress Ellen Burstyn joins us to talk about her new movie, 3 Months. We'll ask the Oscar, Emmy, and Tony winner what she wants to do next and her advice for all those budding young actors out there. We'll have all of that and more. We'll see you at 7.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Harley Stevens. Private First Class Stevens served from 1944 to 1947. The Bartlesville, Oklahoma native fought in Germany and earned marksmanship ribbons. To Private First Class Harley Stevens, we thank you, today's four-state hero.
Birthday list begins with Gracie May Lovell, as Gracie May celebrates the big number 1 stuffed animal in hand. Gracie May, I want you to have a marvelous, marvelous birthday, kiddo. She's an Arma.
And in Columbus, little Cooper Miller turns 3 years old. As I understand, he's wearing a bow tie just for you, Michael.
I love it, Coop. I tell you what, man, maybe you can show me how to tie a real one as well. I would love that. Sharp-dressed dude right there. I can take some. I am taking tips. I'm taking note, Cooper. I am taking note. Trust me. Happy birthday, my man. Loretta Beeson, she is celebrating her 3rd birthday. Speaking of cool things to wear, love that hat, Miss Loretta. She is in Sheldon with birthday wishes coming with love from Grandma.
All right, and we've got Aaliyah Wilby, turning 6 years old in Galena. We've got a special birthday message for you, Aaliyah. Happy birthday, Aaliyah. We love you so much. From Mom, Dad, and Bubby.
We've got Troy Johnston, who is celebrating his 9th birthday. Troy, a happy birthday in Joplin.
All right, and in Chanute, Caitlin Ford, turning 11 years old this year. Look at that cake.
That's a cake.
Makes me want to go to
My
the beach.
goodness. Nicely done right there by the Ford family. Aiden Mincha. Aiden celebrating number 15. Driver's ed. Next year, next year you get turn him loose. But yeah, he's ready to take off right there. Aiden, this birthday wish comes with happy birthday from Dad, Mom, and your sisters, as Aiden is out and about in Lamar. Lamar.
All right, and in Chanute, Brady Trowbridge is celebrating birthday number 15.
That's a get up now. That is a get up.
There's a lot going on there.
There is. That'll take a while to dissect right there. Happy birthday, Brady. Dustin Blackmore, turning 26 years old. Dustin, a very happy birthday. He's in St. Paul.
Lovely picture there of Dustin.
Who this is?
Oh, it's our friend,
She's
Miss
like extended.
Sarah Vaca.
She's like extended family.
Yeah, Sarah is turning 37 this year in Pittsburgh.
Sarah, very happy birthday. Long time no see, so have a great day, my friend. Josh Brennan celebrating 37 as well. Josh, this happy birthday wish comes with love from all your co-workers, as he's in St. Paul. Party on in St. Paul, right?
All right, yeah. Well, if Josh is celebrating, then why can't Heather celebrate? Heather St. Clair in St. Paul. She's 37 as well.
Not preventing Sarah from celebrating. I hope she does. Lanny Cooper is celebrating number 75. Mr. Cooper, a very happy birthday to you in Chanute. Oh, this dude right here.
Ronnie Mercer.
This dude.
Turning 79 years old this year. This is our neighbor in Crestline. Birthday wishes coming from your wife, Wanda.
Yes. Ronnie, a very happy birthday to you. Wanda, thank you for sending in that picture right there. Love the Mercer family. There's something else. Hey, got a special birthday wish. I knew this one was a coming. I've been waiting for it. It's Morgan Strickland. What a great picture right there. Look how tall she's got. My goodness. Little Charger pride right there. That is tremendous. Morgan, a very happy birthday. She had her birthday over the weekend, but because she's like extended family, I was like, we're going to carry this thing on all week long. So if you see her out there on the court shooting around today, I want you to wish her a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, Morgan.
All right, and we've got a 67th anniversary for Trini and Lorraine Susie. They're here pictured with their children, Mike, Albert, and Kathy. Congratulations and happy 67.
That looks like it was quite a party by the Susies right there. Congratulations. That was a heck of a time. Spencer Wade celebrating number 15. Spencer, a very happy birthday in Pittsburgh. Gary Woodard turning 77. Mr. Gary is in Columbus. And Cole Burns, he is 23. And Cole, these birthday wishes with love from Grandma and Grandpa as he celebrates in Joplin. A happy birthday and happy anniversary to all. Here's where you can send them into. Birthdays at KOAMTV.com, or if you go to our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. Now, here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMNewsNow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Coming up when we transition on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, Florida lawmakers taking up a bill that opponents have dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill. Yes, that is what it is being known as. Now, if passed, it prohibits discussions about sexual orientation or gender identity in public school classrooms. We're going to have the latest on this story when we transition on over to Fox 14 for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right here on Channel 7. Right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Joplin Fire Department is investigating what led to a fire at the Best Western Oasis. It happened around 3:30 Monday afternoon. Crews from Newton County Ambulance and Reddings Mill Fire were called in to assist. No one was hurt. Pittsburgh Police Department arrests a man who they say broke into the high school. Police say Saturday the suspect broke into the high school, used a fire hose to spray water in the gym, and then stole property. Investigators say he was arrested shortly after the break-in was discovered with the stolen property in his possession. No official charges have been filed. In a statement, the superintendent says the school is cooperating with the investigation and, quote, "We are thankful that student and staff remained unharmed during this incident, and that learning and activities will continue as planned this week at Pittsburgh High School." A new report from the Department of Finance and Administration shows medical marijuana sales have passed $20 million in Arkansas. According to the DFA, patients in Arkansas spent $20.53 million in January to obtain 3,731 pounds of medical marijuana. DFA officials noted out of the 37 dispensaries in the state, the Natural Relief Dispensary in Sherwood had the largest month of sales with 387 pounds. The Relief Center in Bentonville followed with 333 pounds. As of January, officials with the DFA reported the state tax surpassed $60 million in overall tax collection from the medical marijuana industry. Missouri Southern and the Joplin Chamber are once again teaming up to make sure that graduating students are dressed to impress. Each year, the school provides, through donations, clothing for students to wear at job interviews. Things like suit jackets and slacks. And they are in need of donations. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
There's some light drizzle. We haven't had the camera freeze over as of yet at 7th and Range Line. We've certainly seen the temperatures drop, that is for sure. Let's go ahead and anticipate slick spots, especially in southeast Kansas, where the light freezing rain has persisted a little bit longer. In temperatures, those are not wind chills, those are temperatures already down into the teens. Also, too, hope you don't have to go down there. But if you got to get on I-44, head down to Tulsa. I'm looking at their tower cam. They're frozen. It's hard to find a tower cam in Tulsa right now that you can actually see past. Weather trend for today, eventually stabilizing. We'll be around the 20s. Don't think we're going to see a whole lot of high 30s, especially where we've dropped into the teens. And remember, the big one is for tomorrow morning. It's especially going to affect the Wednesday evening commute as this thing rolls through. Ice, especially for our northern counties, snow and ice as we progress to the north, and looking at anywhere from 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch, pockets of 1/2 inch of accumulation. Look at that 7-day forecast. It's going to be cold all week long.
Yeah, it is. Time to bundle up. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making a loaded barbecue baked potato casserole in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Morning news continues on KOAM. That's the CBS Morning News. Coming up next is U.S. soccer stars Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan. And the U.S. Soccer Federation President Cindy Parlow. They got a major announcement for our women's national team.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14. That's where we're headed.
All right, so join us over there. We'll keep you updated on the weather. Be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.